Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out The Black Heart by developer Andreas Borgai. This is a 1v1 horror fighting game and one of the most polished games that I think I've ever run into in my history doing this series now. It is an extremely violent, bloody, and gory game, so if you are at all squeamish you may not want to actually watch this one, but for those of you who don't mind, you're in for quite a treat. This game was developed by a single person over the course of something like 7 years. It's actually been around for quite a while, and I was just never clued into it for whatever reason. By some random chance, I happened to happen upon it, and I just wanted to mess around with this one, and I was really surprised with the level of polish that was put into this. It is a Mugen fighting game, and what that means is essentially it's created off the infrastructure of sort of a modular fighting game toolkit that allows people to assemble all of these components, you know, the characters, the effects, the sound effects, the music, the graphics, the stages, all of that stuff comes together to form, obviously, the whole of a fighting game. But in this case, the developer has put together all of their own custom work, ranging from the music to the art to the sound effects, the effects, all of the stuff that I just mentioned was all done by one person, and that includes setting up quite an amazing story featuring a series of 6 macabre characters, all of which are vying for this heart that was stolen from a king of infinite chaos. There is a character known as Final who we'll be facing off against, but first we have to get through all of the other characters who all have their own nuances to them. And it's actually a very well-worked fighting game. It's got a lot of balance to it, it's got a lot of depth, and it's surprisingly fun. So there are quite a few options as well. Many of these come from just Mugen and the way that it works, that a lot of this stuff is sort of put together. But like I said, all of the assets are sort of all custom. So it's showing us a demo now, but let's just look through what our options are. So we've got story mode. Each character has their own story, which is pretty awesome. But again, only 6 characters, unfortunately, and I so wish that there was more to this game. But even the 6 characters that are here are actually plenty to see, and you can do 1v1 if you want to do local co-op, or, you know, rather adversarial matches. You can do team games, team versus, team co-op. I'm not even sure how team co-op works, and then survival, which I'm assuming is probably, you know, a gauntlet of AI-driven characters, survival co-op, training if you want to work on your moves. You can watch 2 AI enemies fight each other, and then, of course, our options menu. Pretty standard stuff here. We've got a difficulty setting, which actually there's a launcher where you're going to want to set that, not actually in the game itself. Set your life bar totals, your time limits, game speed, master volume. You can set in the input stuff. I'm actually setting this with 360 controller right now. It actually did natively support it. I just had to go into input config and set up the joystick to read the buttons off of it. And I also did have to change some of the graphical options. The game should default to a full screen layout for you guys, but since I wanted to make this video look as nice as possible, obviously I wanted to make this, you know, 720 windowed. So some of the resolution may not be 100% perfect. It actually may end up looking a little bit better even in the actual gameplay if you go ahead and play this yourselves, which I absolutely implore you to do, as long as, again, you don't mind the violence. And when you finish setting up all this stuff here the way you like, just want to go to save from that, otherwise they're going to reset on you every single time. So we'll play a little bit of one of the story modes here, just to give you a little bit of a preview of what you might expect from the Black Heart. This is one of the examples. Like I said, the resolution's a little cut off here. Everything in this game, when it's set the default way that it's normally set up, is extremely polished. So don't worry about this at all. You won't see this most likely in your own gameplay. So the characters here range from a little boy with a very strangely cartoonized face, a woman who is sort of like a half spider demon. We've got a worm, which is from the army of the infinite chaos. We've got this character who is basically trapped in an Iron Maiden for 300 years, sort of a scarecrow-like woodman, and a Japanese doll possessed by a ghost who I actually quite am fond of, and I think that's who I'm going to play as for this today. I haven't spent a lot of time with this game, probably about 10-15 minutes or so, but in that time I've already become quite fond of the way that this game feels, and it is quite lovely. He bought a doll in Japan 8 years ago for a price of $10,000, a fair price, an antique more than 500 years ago. Even though it was the cheapest object in his collection, it was the one he valued the most. A simple doll used in an old fertility ritual, but something about it captivated the imagination of everyone who looked at it. And it was as if the doll were asleep, as if someone inside her was waiting. One night, something strange happened in the universe, an event that would put all reality and everything that lived in it in danger. That night, attracted by the great force, the doll awakened. That would be a problem. Collector, what was that? Who's there? Like, how much work was this? Seriously, this is crazy. I can't believe it. So it was true, you are the spirit inside the doll, right? Haha, that is amazing. They told me there was an entity living inside the doll when I bought it, but over time I started believing it was all lies. Come on, come out to the light. This isn't going to end well for him, I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, can't read the kanji. Collector what? Probably not a huge stretch of the imagination to believe that she might be somewhat inspired by a cross between The Grudge and Xion. I should also say The Ring, perhaps, as well. And before you hit me up in the comments, I know that The Grudge and Xion, the same thing, just the American-Japanese version of the same idea. Anyway, so here we go into the first match. So we'll be fighting Paquito in, also I should mention this background too, actually three-dimensional, which is pretty awesome. You'll notice the graphics are kind of rudimentary in some ways, but there's actually a ton of effects, stuff like the blood and the particles coming from that. You'll see plenty of more advanced stuff too, and some of the stuff in the background, like those ghosts walking around, how they're actually transparent, how there's actually, you know, stuff going on occasionally. In the backgrounds, you'll actually be able to smash through some objects occasionally. And in general, I mean, it's just a straight-up 1v1 fighter. I mean, there's nothing all that crazy or innovative about that as a concept, but I'm not sure I've run into too many indie fighting games that are this well realized, and very few of them in general that even exist in the first place. I've used a super move here to transform myself into a tiny doll, and I have my own set of special abilities there, and you'll see there's like after-image effects as well. There's even fatality moves for each of the characters, and they're actually context-sensitive based on who you're fighting. For example, one of the characters being much, much larger than the others, I'm sure you can figure out who I'm talking about, actually breaks apart somewhat differently from what I've seen in the other ones, because you'll actually be like severing him into little pieces and stuff. It's definitely graphic, there's no doubt there, but the sense of theme and sort of foreboding nature of each one of the environments and the musical soundtracks, or pieces of the musical soundtrack, feel really, really nice. The one dude that I mentioned that was actually trapped in the Iron Maiden sort of has this pseudo-pyramid head style to him, and there's a very Silent Hill-esque feeling to his level when you get to that one, and hopefully we will get to see that one in this gameplay today. But it's a really, really cool thing. The whole thing just feels like it's done by someone who really, really loves horror, and it shows through in just about every bit of this. And I'm even seeing more stuff now than I'd seen in the last time I played this. Some of the environments look a little bit different. I'm not sure I'd seen this one at all, actually. I might just not have fought Hoshi, to be honest with you. But let's see if I can figure out a couple of the more interesting moves that I had done. There's actually a counter move where if I... Yeah, there we go. If I do that one and he hits me during that, he'll essentially sort of walk into my trap, and then I'll spring a move on him. Controls also feel very responsive. Again, using the 360 controller, probably not a huge surprise again, since this is a Mugen infrastructure-based game, that it would feel pretty good, but, you know, it's nice that it's so responsive, and I feel pretty comfortable with this right away. I mean, check out that background. That is creepy. It's like a wooden face that's got blinking eyes occasionally, and some of the graphics are, like, very, very high quality as well. Turn into the doll again. I'm going to see if I can launch a few faces at him. Yeah, there we go. The first few fights are not terribly hard, but once you get into like the fourth and the fifth character, things definitely get quite more difficult. And also you can set this on hard too if you get very good at it. There is a combo system too, and I'm not really all that proficient yet at that point, but there is probably going to be a point where if I play enough of this, I'm going to want to work on some of my higher level skills. I have a feeling I'm going to be playing quite a bit of this one. I am sort of curious to know what the final boss fight is like, or if there's maybe a way to unlock it, because I did see a picture and it looks pretty awesome. I also sort of like the way that this character controls in a somewhat different way. She doesn't really move around the screen all that fast. You have to kind of use strange diagonals most of the time, and some of the time you'll need to even jump on the ceiling and then dash down at the enemy. So it sort of counteracts the fact that she's a slower character by having a few different movement methods, and even go for a little jump scare there at the end. Oh good, we're going to fight Animus, so you're going to get to see hopefully the Silent Hill looking level that I mentioned. Oh, the background looks different as well. And he can turn into a mannequin Yeah, or a ballerina, evidently, which goes for a super creepy factor on that one. I guess it's sort of the sarong or whatever he's wearing that reminds me a little bit of Pyramid Head. And the fact that he's got this, like, gleefully insane face on him, too. Also a few, like, slight, maybe BlazBlue references to that. I don't know, maybe I'm stretching things, but his grin definitely reminds me a bit of Hazama. But I guess that's just because he's a sort of a crazy dude in general. So he actually broke through that pipe there. And actually is pretty awesome. There's a nice thud to most of the impacts when you're fighting dudes. When you hit them, it feels really well done, like the sense of momentum. And the fact that there's such a diverse moveset for each character means that there's actually a pretty good learning curve if you want to get really good at this game. So it's nice to know that there's actually some legs to this. And especially once you start learning like fatalities and things, I think there's quite a lot to be said for the amount of time that you're going to get out of this. And look at the little details, like that crazy crab thing walking under the floor. There's a hand that keeps moving in and out of those bars behind us. There's even, I think I've seen some bigger things happening in the background occasionally too. And it seems like that attention to detail is totally pervasive throughout pretty much every part of this game. Again, I think I've even said this already, but I'm just kind of shocked at just how good this is. And I'm kind of burning through my meter on this one. I think I'm just trying to knock this guy out as fast as possible, because he does have a pretty tough move. He can, like, jump on me and then stab me repeatedly if I get put in the wrong position. Okay, actually it managed to absorb quite a bit of that damage. Alright, he's already out. Let's see who we have to fight next. And no, I'm sorry, I don't know any of the fatality moves, otherwise I would probably do a couple of those for you. Ananzi. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with Anastasia, isn't it? There's like a Jamaican folklore about a spider. I don't believe he was anything beyond mischievous. He was more just, you know, kid stories, but maybe there was an influence in that, or maybe it comes from a similar root word or something, since she's, you know, part spider and everything. And she's got some pretty wild moves as well. She can jump at you from off the screen, pin you down. There's spider web moves that she'll occasionally hit you with. But I've been kind of lucky in this so far. I haven't really run into too many snags. My moves have been coming out pretty much fast and furious without too much difficulty. And I'm not really that good at it or anything, so don't get me wrong. Oh, okay. Well, I've been preyed upon. And then she turns back from a spider back into a lady. Definitely some very dramatic animations. You can see the background, the glass shatters and everything. Such good detail. And the music, again, also really good all throughout. I'm trying to play more offensively than defensively, but there is certainly something to be said for this character playing the other way as well, since she does have that counter move. I'm not sure if every character does, but you can definitely kind of get away with occasionally just sort of hunkering down and, yeah, sitting on your cry move. And as long as the enemy is dumb enough to attack you, or if you happen to pull that move off in the frames before they hit you, they'll just be forced into taking some damage and also essentially being countered. So you can sort of play as a trapped character, which is kind of a cool thing. Perhaps liken her to a little bit of like the Arakune style play, where she is a little bit more difficult to move around with, but there's a little bit more cerebral stuff going on, rather than like an all-out rushdown or something like that. And again, not huge, like, I'm not a fighting expert or anything, so don't get me wrong, but I've definitely played a few hours of a few games in my life so far. Thought I was about to kill her, but it seems like she's putting up a bit more fight towards the end. There we go. And what was that, the fourth character so far? Oh, we're going to do a mirror match here, which is kind of cool to see. There's even a specific animation for that when we fight our own self. And this is a very creepy stage, too. It's like an attic upstairs with chalk drawings all over everything, and it even goes for those, like, jump cut type moments. There's a lens flare in the background that actually seems to be obscured when characters go in front of it occasionally, which is kind of awesome, too. I'm not sure if that is actually dynamic or if it was just luck that... Yeah, I guess it was just luck that she happened to coincide with that the second it changed, too. But this level actually sort of splits into two different worlds. Occasionally it'll just go dark for a long time, and then you'll see the chalk drawings in the background start to get more animated, which is very, very cool to see. Oh, I have a teleport move where I can go through the other side of the screen? I didn't even know that. I guess I'll turn into a doll again. I seem to do that quite a bit, but it's a lot of free damage, as long as the character doesn't see it coming. And it's kind of hard to avoid all of these masks, actually. I guess I'm just going to burn through my entire meter doing that for some reason. I don't have a ton of control over my moveset just yet. But I am getting a bit better already. There are... I think it's a total of 6 buttons you have control over, although I'm not sure if all of them are always necessary. It's, you know, A, B, and then right bumper, then X, Y, left bumper, and then start also. It seems to be taunt, perhaps. I'll show you what that looks like. Doesn't seem to build meter or anything. It just sort of is a taunt for taunt's sake, perhaps. So I'm trying to watch it. Yeah, it definitely isn't going up at all when I do that, but, you know, it looks nice, I guess. I wish I could figure out what that teleport move is. It seems like a really useful one to know. I'm going to have to look at the moves list, and it actually did come in the README, so it's not like I have any right to complain here. Also, it's going to be very gratifying when I start to figure out what some of the combos might be. Because, like I said, the hits actually feel real nice, so if you could chain a bunch of those together, I have a feeling this is going to feel great for long-term style play. Alright, I guess we'll just kind of whittle her down again with more mask stuff. Okay. And a couple more hits and we should be done. Oh, okay. Oh, that was very Fatal Frame, the way that looked, actually. Yep, she'll stand up just in time to get hit with my Oni Demon Mask attack, I suppose. And now we've got one-on-one. Winner takes all on this match. I guess she's not dumb enough to hit me on my own counter move, one would hope. Alright, that was good. I wonder if a lot of people have actually played this game, because I was just amazed that given how polished this is, I haven't gotten a lot of requests, or really any requests, to ever cover this one. It was a little difficult to set up for recording, but once I figured it out, I guess not so bad. And I'm definitely glad that I did, because this is one that definitely needs more eyes on it if there are others like me who just were waiting for something like this to come along and just had never had an opportunity to see that it even exists. So it looks like we were defeated by our mirror version of ourselves. I think this is a good opportunity, though, to wrap up the episode. Definitely, if you couldn't tell from my incredibly emphatic commentary throughout this entire episode, go get the Black Heart. It is really good. This game is roughly something like 300 megabytes to download, so provided you have a few minutes or a fast internet connection. I always like to mention that, because occasionally there are people who run into a little bit of difficulty. Oh, look, he's in love. How nice. But yeah, it's a kind of a big file, but as long as you don't have any issues with that, it is definitely worth a grab. So I will let you go for another day. Thank you so much for watching, as always. The link for this game is going to be in the description, as well as my other social media information, so if you'd like to find out more about what I do and more stuff about me in general, feel free to check that for my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my Twitch channel where I stream, and of course, indie-impressions.com, which is my website where every day's new Indie Impressions videos get aggregated, and you can find just about every kind of indie game that I've ever covered over there, over 650 episodes and counting by the day, all sorted by genre and distribution style, and also free versus paid, too, so if you're looking for a specific type in that respect, there's even more there, too. So, with that, I will let you go. Thank you again for watching. Please do continue to leave your support, and if you're still enjoying the series, please do let me know and leave your comments as well about what you think about this game, and what you might do differently, what you loved, what you didn't love. Any of that stuff is all fair game in the comments. And please do come back again tomorrow. New episodes every single day. So I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a lovely night. Talk to you later.